Hi guys, Brexiteer Bill Cash is standing down at the next election. Ironically, he has said in the past that if Labour win, they will try and undo Brexit. So I'm not sure why he's running away. Anyway, he was asked about Brexit benefits and he mentioned sovereignty. When pushed for something else, he claimed the pandemic and the war in Ukraine had masked the opportunities of being outside the EU. Mike Galsworthy, the founder of Scientists for EU, pushed back on the Brexiteers' rhetoric and gave a perfect response to the old nugget of sovereignty. Have a listen to this.
So, Bill, how do you think Brexit is going?
But actually, I think it's going very well.
What are your proof points for why you think it's going well?
We've now regained our self-government, we've regained our sovereignty, and we've gained our ability to make our own laws on behalf of the electors who vote for us. COVID was a profound, total disaster for the world and for Europe.
What are your views?
Well, I think that what we just listened to is entirely removed from the lived experiences of the working population here. I mean, there have been analyses of Brexit that strip out Ukraine and strip out COVID, and they found that the impact from Brexit was twice the size of COVID. But instead of talking about these high-level factors, let's talk about people's day-to-day experience. When they go and try and travel or work in the EU, they're much more limited than they were before. And this is because of Brexit, not because of any other factor. Our businesses trying to trade with Europe, with their partners that they traded before, have more paperwork on top of them. They can cost up the hours and the costs of that paperwork. That isn't Ukraine. That isn't COVID. No, Bill, you talked for a long time, so I'm going to finish. These are all very tangible, real experiences that people feel eating into their lives, and they come from Brexit. So on the point of sovereignty, because a lot of Brexiteers have now said, OK, so it hasn't helped immigration so far. We can't prove that it's helped anything in the economy. Certainly hasn't helped your freedom of movement or musicians trying to travel, but sovereignty. We've got our sovereignty. What does sovereignty mean? That's the key question for me. And could you give me just 30 seconds?
30 seconds. I've got so many messages coming through.
OK. Sovereignty is the power to make decisions about your own life or your own country. When we were in the EU, we invested some of our sovereignty in people's ability to travel and work in other countries, in our businesses to trade freely. With Brexit, we saw sovereignty shrinkage. We pull that all back to a government for them to make decisions, and they haven't used it to do anything useful at all. It's been a waste of sovereignty, whereas EU membership was a much better investment of sovereignty.
Well said, Mike. Completely correct. When the UK was part of the EU, it gave up some of its sovereignty. Yes. Like when joining any international organisation that has rules. Now, I don't think Bill Cash is asking for the UK to leave NATO or the United Nations, as far as I can see. So when in the EU, the benefit was to be part of the decision-making process of the bloc, to be part of the single market and to be part of the customs union and the benefits that those bring to the UK. The UK had access to EU funding for deprived areas, for example, and it was part of the bloc when negotiating trade deals. Now, it swapped that loss of sovereignty for what post-Brexit? Terrible trade deals, red tape and extra costs for businesses, the ending of freedom of movement for British citizens, higher immigration if that's your pet hate, higher vacancies in sectors like healthcare, social care, farming, hospitality, construction, just to name a few. So Mike is right, the UK gave up some sovereignty when it was part of the EU, but that's like being a member of a gym. When you're a member, you get access to the machines, you have a trainer, you can have hot showers, maybe a sauna as well. Outside, you have to fill in a form every time you visit, for example. You have to pay a higher fee because you're no longer a member of that gym, and the gym will prioritise members over people just turning up. Brexit was supposed to be better than EU membership, but it clearly is worse. Even Brexiteers admit that to a certain extent. So they have to cling on to concepts that they don't fully understand or make fallacious arguments based on special pleading. Bill Cash is part of the past. What we hope is that the next batch of politicians will be honest about Brexit, not selling sovereignty and unicorns. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.